Welcome everyone, and we are live to probably the most expensive refactoring I've ever done. Let's hope anyway. So the super crazy thing, and this is somehow the set state a little bit of, yeah, certainly GCC, but also other configure and build system Makefiles. What is so crazy? So I spent like 4 days on this stuff of refactoring this GCC stuff. Previous video for what we only wanted was cross-compiling GCC with ISL support for a little bit better loop optimizations, but also having more features, as a coincidence, having more features enabled in the cross-compiler, the security stuff, decimal float and quad float and stuff, and improving the Itanium IA64 bit a little bit. So the crazy thing, so this would have been long, so it would, well, also the people always like, it just works. It's like, yeah, thank you very much, it does not just work. So the crazy thing is, beside this is a little bit complex just because our T2 stages, we have the stages of stage 0 is tool chain, building the tool chain, and previously stage 1 was cross-compiling and then native. And the problem is with the interdependencies, so we need the cross-compiler, so we need some C header libraries, and then we need the cross-compiler. Then we need to, and the cross-compiler can't build fancy features itself because we first need to have the C library. And all this chicken egg dependency stuff becomes a little bit of a mess, especially as setup. Again, I said the other day, it would be less of a mess if this would be more freestanding packages and projects like lib quad float or lib decimal float, and this would be a little bit less GCC independent features. But yeah, so it additionally becomes a little bit messy because it is a little bit of against our clean build infrastructure of toolchain cross native, because we basically need to Frankenstein rebuild the cross compiler just to enable these additional features, right? For example, shared library, like shared libgcc stuff, especially important, in general important, but especially important on Itanium. So yeah, so we end up with this crazy stuff. Also, some of the stuff took me like hours of wasting hours, because, so what's this? For example, like building this takes 5 minutes on an epic threadgrouping Ryzen 5950X. And then you also realize stuff like, for example, this include there, right? You really start to lose your nerves and get depressive here with this stuff, like stuff not building, because this labyrinth mess of make and configure files totally working against each other. You enable one option and it changes other stuff, as seen yesterday, without it making too much sense for the general case. For example, even include here doesn't work, right? It's as simple stuff as include here. I messed around with this because we basically want nearly only 2 things of this build. So yeah, super complex build, right? Whole cross compiler and surrounding stuff. We only want 2 things. Previously we mostly wanted the STL, the C template library, C++ standard template library, and we mostly want those include files. And the crazy thing is, so we want the cross compiler in some cross prefix of, hey, this is our cross compiler area and stuff. And it would not be natural, like, hey, install us this include files in our new sandbox, right? This bloody option doesn't even work, at least not. The GCC doesn't even install many include files. And for those most important, the majority of libstandard CXX, C++, for that it doesn't even work, right? So this is, did I patch that? Yeah, I patched this. Also, yeah, if you're wondering why do we have crazy patches, and this is 30 years later, I'm getting a little bit irritated and if not depressed with the state. And this is like 20 years of my life, right? You want to simply build something, and 4 days later of my community contribution of my lifetime here to the greater good of open source. And then Debian people tell me, yeah, everything just builds. Like, yeah, thank you very much. I'm totally doing nothing here, everything just builds. And was it tossed cross patch? And why is it 2 no without? Yeah, let's yeah, like is it this? So yeah, ironically, we already... All right, so this is that patch. Oh, by the way, which is it even? Okay, this is the right patch. So, although, wait a second, why is there no cross host? I'm already losing overview. But this is my point, right? So I wasted like 10 or 15 minutes and maybe I need to get better. The problem is always the interruption, right? And the context switching. I probably need to get better to continue other work, but the problem is always you interrupt your work, you lose all the context in your brain and concentration and stuff, and then this fails, and then you need to constantly switch back and forth. It's also I start to look on Twitter and Instagram, which probably I shouldn't do anymore. So as you see here, so right, this is not using include here, right? I patched this in, so this is using prefix. So you waste like 5, 10 if on the latest epic thread-ripping Horizon, right? Just to figure out, darn, at the end of the day, this bloody include switch like why do they even have configure include? I mean, they could also like not support this switch there in configure. Yeah, so pro tip, don't advertise like in configure or other features if they don't freaking work. So yeah, I patched this just in here in this slip standard C++ version 3 configure. So because previously this was prefix and then include C++ version stuff. So I need to change this here to reuse this GCC version thing if I want to reuse it there. So that is why, yeah, I freaking include here so that I can actually, by the way, I start to lose overview, to be honest. Package develop GCC. What other stuff? No cross. Did I not had another? What even, or did I? Don't tell me no, I wonder if I accidentally wiped some part of. Did I somehow? No, or did I? So would no, I'm really. Wait, this is. Which also, by the way, did I? Override. So this is overriding, and so yeah, the other thing is also. That this libdir, so the problem is also because this is not separated, this is all in one mono repository, which some people praise also for LLVM Clang. Now I'm probably no junior visits. You want to help? You want to help? Well, only wants to play. Okay, come. You can help. You can help. You probably, where is the configure? Don't. Come. Wait a second, I have the microphone cable here. So, here's the expert, right? Aren't you the Free Software Foundation configure and GCC mess expert, huh? Yeah? Yeah? You're an expert in making a mess, aren't you? GCC and Free Software Foundation configure and Makefile mess. Huh? Exactly the right thing for you, isn't it? Now you need to not pull this cable. Maybe you play your puzzle first. Maybe, wait. Maybe. Yeah, even Junior can't help with that. Yeah, so I thought after messing and sorting this, like I basically changed this again and again, override it that way or patched it another way. I think though I messed this patch up now that I see this. This is the fun thing. But so the other thing is also this libdir, right? So what constructive criticism to this stuff. So I worked with this for 20 years and you would think the best of the industry, other big companies work on this and like everything is amazing, but somehow it's like a total mess 30 years of GCC later. And the other thing is also that what I would propose is, well, obviously nobody will quickly change this anyway. Maybe we are the only ones left properly bootstrapping stuff out of nothing anyway, from scratch. But what first of all, this include should work, and then because we build native libraries, which is nearly only libcc1 or something for GCC, and plus some plug-in stuff, and so this libdir is influencing both, right? Which is also, yeah, if you have this in your system of, if you only want a cross-compiler in user something, and we have seen this yesterday with this arch prefix of IA-T2 something something, sure, it can be there, but if you build like often embedded developers develop a new firmware image for their stuff to deploy of Internet of broken stuff and so on, you would think after 30 years there would be some way of specifying sysroot library stuff, which, yeah, there isn't. Which is so, the reason is also that how did I waste so many hours on this stuff is I also had to figure out what is the best way to quirk this, right? And welcome everyone. And yeah, today this VM setup is macOS, unfortunately. Otherwise I use Sway on Epic threadripping Horizon. Welcome everyone, hope you're well. For example, this libdir, right? Previously I said, because they are like libatomic, libgcc, libstandard C++, and other libcet or other random stuff. And so I thought, my thinking was, okay, we have more cross-compiled target libraries, so I specify libdir for the sandbox. But the problem with that is I think this hard-coded the path for, which ironically, this is exactly the only problem probably left, is that now, do I still have that? I also probably focus. I changed that also. So now I thought I'm finally done, but on a clean build that again didn't build, because now it's using the wrong assembler, which is ironically exactly what I tried to quirk and override here with this libdir. And so basically what I do here is like Frankenstein transforming the regular native build to its like back to a toolchain cross-compiler thing. And this is why very untypical T2 code of like, yeah, remove all the stuff, reset all the stuff is not what you normally do. It's a very rare exceptional thing. And we, yeah. The good thing is I tested this with when the builds worked for most of the time, like 90%. And then like it didn't find the assembler for pass hiccup and stuff. I was able to test this already, and it totally fixes the Itanium IA. We had one strange build marginality for only IA64 Itanium, and that is fixed, as well as what was the other, yeah, as well as cross-compiling all those other support libraries. So what is basically left, so this is mostly working. It only needs the last stuff of Guru meditation. I only wanted to share what a method is. I mean, it always looks so simple, right? Like configure, make install, or configure prefix bindir libdir and stuff. And like at the end of the day, especially that doesn't, this, well, of course, the simple setup of configure, make install is, ironically, people get away now with Meson and stuff, which is even more annoying, of dash capital D, whatever, define stuff, and CMake and so on. And each of those doesn't sucking build systems has other sucking options. But for normal packages, of course, that is fine. But in the case of GCC, that becomes a total mess, especially with all this surrounding build artifacts and installation. I think so yeah. And so the reason we have here the regular, so this is a tools root, toolchain root prefix. And I override this at install time because it was yesterday my thinking of, because otherwise I thought this libdir, or my observation was this libdir was encoded in the compiler for finding the assembler, which is unfortunately just broken now here, as you see here with that stuff. So when this stuff breaks, it looks like this, which is trace, for example. So the problem here is, why does it CC1, however, I did did not. I was expecting something slightly different, but that is similar. No, it's differently broken. What did I last change? So then the problem is always where does it try to look at this, and this is why I messed around with this path there so much. What did we see? CC1 of, yeah, now it's trying to use this libexec. I only wonder why does this now not work anymore. The problem is that this testing this is rather time consuming, which probably also why I need some Epic or Threadripper. Because, by the way, did I set libexec? So actually previously I had here libexec. Wait a second, do we remove lib? Oh no, libexec we never had in here, I think. So the problem is just when I thought it's finally all sorted, it breaks again differently. So it's actually twice as time consuming because we actually need to first need to rebuild the cross compiler working, and so that probably takes, was it 5 minutes, and then only then can we continue fixing or rebuilding. So basically we need to, if we mess up our cross compiler too much, we need to rebuild it twice. First the stage 0 from scratch cross compiler, and then the actual full-featured rebuild one. Questions there, just to recommend for software developers like Python, C++. I don't know, as a non-mainstream, like as a domain-specific distribution developer, you asked the wrong person. Although I'm aware that our own, right, we built here a whole Linux distribution. Also I'm aware that ours is ours is not yet. Also, I somehow clicked this, what have I done with? Okay, I can also use it like that. So ours is of course not as user-friendly as some. I hear, of course, some years ago Ubuntu was the get-to-go, but I also heard this falling into disgrace, and now the latest appears to be something like Pop OS or something. But otherwise, of course, I personally only use my own Linux distribution, and we increasingly have people using that for their PS3 or SGI gear, Sun gear, or Intel Titanium gear. So while we build that to fix this up, I slightly wonder if I somehow have the impression I might have deleted. That would explain, what was it? Yeah, so the other pro tip is commit early and often, because I must have accidentally deleted, overwritten or something with patch there, crazily enough. Let's quickly fix this. This was source. Do we still have GCC IA? Of course we have multiple. But you're welcome. If you want to work on Linux distribution, T2 is a small team, a growing but small team. So it is, if you want to get into something, probably the smallest, most low barrier of entry team to work with if you want to get your hands to some real Linux distribution stuff. So config, where is, don't tell me, no, here it is, what have I done? Whatever. Editor, also, yeah, Vodafone's failing DOCSIS infrastructure. Home office lag there, that is not local, unfortunately. Fix file. So this was this processor host. And we patched this away the other day, and I avoid target config? Actually, did I? Actually, it looks patched away. Where was I looking though then? Apparently I was looking at getting a little bit many patches. At the without crosshairs. Oh, this is why. What was? Oh, this is already. I named this wrong. This is explains this thing. No, I use this. This explains how this happened. I use the bash history, so that is without crosshairs. This is why I thought I deleted something, but I didn't. Yeah, Dox's lag. Thank you very much. Not recommendable internet service provider. So we patch that because what other? So this was modifying the. Also by the base. So without cross-host. Wait a second. Do we not need that patch to? So yeah, you see. So this is just reiterating. Native versus system root, change root, dear stuff of cross system headers. Need to this was also using other passes with this cross. Actually, we should have done this honestly target. So this is just adding this. We could actually have. Oh no, this is okay. I just leave it like this. I'm only. Right. So this is actually in two places. So that is in GCC, and so this part is the installation. So this is actually honoring the include dir, so that we can install those gxx include headers to the right place. So yeah. So and this is by the way how all the configure and make files work, right? You specify something, it doesn't work, and then you look into this like, yeah, they like this includes is like, yeah, hard coding to the prefix here, prefix include C++. It's like dude, you can't even override this configure option doesn't work. You can't override this in the make file because the prefix you obviously need for everything else. And this is how you eventually end up patching this stuff. I wonder though, on the plus side of all this, in the meantime, over 3 days of all my spare open source time, we are still not there yet. I mean, we could actually check if otherwise the compiler works. If we continue like that, this is also the wrong one. We have touch build IA64 var idm log. So this was one GCC. And so that, let's test this cross compiler okay, this works. Not just to test if in general it works. So what I need to do next, if you are wondering, so what is now the next thing? So next is nearly everything works. And so next would be, I need to, by the way, I just apparently closed that. So next I need to analyze how the Makefile and configure stuff determines which passes to look in for the cross compiler, because somehow this, or should I? Let's build this one a minute. Clean up all this stuff, and then let's see. Where's our? Did we not have a cross zero patch for the headers, or did we decide we don't need that? I think previously this patch was here further fix GCC something background code of so previously, okay, we renamed this. So previously this was gxx include patch cross 0 to without cross host patch. All right, and okay, this is how we fix this. We right, no, yeah, even after 4 days I remember stuff 20 years ago, but man, that is a mess after maybe the brain after 3 days of this craziness. The brain already starts to forget, wants to unsee this stuff. So I also wonder if GCC will ever have another build system. I imagine, although if they port this to Meson, maybe they never will, but who knows? I mean, first of all, this is a monumental task, right? Imagine the lifetime, the resources, probably more than a year worth of full-time work, potentially ever converting this to something else, which I'm not saying that is a good thing or necessary. And if they ever do this, I mean, monumental effort, right? And if they do that, probably I don't see them being totally feature and bug compatible, right? I would think they would lose a lot of quirks and features on the way. So yeah, this doesn't work, which is crazy. I actually extracted the configure options earlier in the lunch break. And so we built with prefix. So I actually double checked that. So that is prefix is tools cross user. Then we have libdir, which we later redefine. Bindir, that is this user cross CC. And so that's basically it. So I really wonder how GCC decides to look for other passes now, because as you see, initially, I mean, there must be something though. I mean, this prefix is identical to its cross user. I previously copied that out. User cross CC, also as bindir, probably unused, famous last words. Libdir is the same. So the only thing is, okay, we have here data, share, and even include dir, which I removed, didn't it? So yeah, I wonder what they use for that now. Obviously they use something, which is rather crazy. And so the irony is yesterday, so this is like one full day of open source contribution time wasted, because this is how far I was yesterday before I reorganized all these quirks and features of setting these variables and debugging through this Makefile mess. How this would this not be libexec, or but we do I think we don't build with libexec, or do libexec, no, we don't build with that. It is so user libexec automatically, and what do we have in libexec? User, wait a second, libpin, what, seriously, wait a second. Is this libexec there really? Wait a second, why is this, wait a second, why is this so true? Is here really user libexec? That is funny. Why is this user libexec? this is bizarre or not. Prefix, what do they? Lib dear, we don't specify anything that as far as this is. I mean, previously I had their libexec. This is everything so bizarre. But after 4 days of this, nothing surprises me anymore. So we don't, so this would be libdir. Why did I remove, oops, did I press something strange? So I kind of thought I would need to start to make even notes. I mean, I committed this already. Normally I don't commit half working stuff in T2. Was it libexec dear? Libexec. I already made an, so the reason we do this a little bit reverse though, because this is inserting at the beginning, just it doesn't really matter, famous last words, but I only wanted the log to look identical, so that is why inserting this to have this at the front. It's a prefix first, prefix bin dir, libexec dir. Can we spot anything else? That was GCC, so I guess I had this already. So, which if, I mean, could this be? I mean, we also this is, wait a second, this is. Was this a GCC plugin? Which one is that here? So target system road, something of which file do we build here? Depths of, so this is GCC AR. Standard libexec prefix. Maybe that is a problem now. Not sure why. Not sure why I removed that libexec there though. But yeah, basically although I previously had a little bit more comments, I cleaned this also, yeah. The irony of you clean this up a little bit of removing your random comment there to have, to commit this already for backups and then, but yeah, somehow not the most fulfilling to poke around for 4 days. I really hope that is, yeah, also famous last words. I'm hoping that is a really last thing I do here with that. Also, the ironic that just previously this year we had the biggest reorganization of our cross-compiling stages, and now we do the second biggest stuff. So yeah, 2021 biggest cleanup. Also, the win-win of this is that not only if I eventually get this to compile the way we want this with all features, the win-win is that the conf is significantly removed from other unrelated old bit random code leftovers. So yeah, let's see. So how long did this build there? 1 minute 48 is actually not that bad. It's a little bit, remembered it a little bit longer though. But although they also see this is like 1 minute 48, probably should still be seeable, right? Oh no, it isn't, because it is just but yeah, 1 minute 40. Can we scroll like that? No, we can't. Oops. Focus. macOS doesn't focus like my Linux, so there we have it, 1 minute 48. And how long is that? No, 20. So it is. Yeah, but even 2 minutes, but it's like, yeah, 2 minutes. There's also the difference between only the cross compiler, this the stage 0. So what did we do now? Oh, no, this, okay, I mean, it's, yeah, not 5 minutes, but annoying enough. Junior. Then come, Junior. Do you want to learn programming? Die? How do you want to help today? You know what? Probably for such kind of problems, even smashing random keys would help. What would you type next? Delete? Delete is always good, huh? So yeah, let me just bring him back and then we give this a final try for today. Oh, but I have already the impression that I need to continue this at midnight. So yeah, Junior wants his playtime. And so libexec, so we stop this in a second just. So yeah, maybe this wasn't necessary after. What do we have? You really want to help, huh? Okay. You really want to help. So I guess we call this a day. So this is basically the challenges we are up to. Crazy configure files, crazy make files, crazy combinations, and a junior who wants attention. Okay, so now we say bye-bye. Bye-bye, Internet. Bye-bye, Internet. Good night. See you tomorrow. I also have this look I have when I see Free Software Foundation Makefiles. Okay, that's it for today. I hope you learned something and maybe eventually it will also build.